Hello and welcome to Gadget Joe, and today we have another fish tank in for review. Hello, and yes, of course this isn't actually a fish tank, but it is another fish tank style case, and the one that we have here is the Antec C5 ARGB in white. This is one of Antec's many incredible new cases for 2024, and it's one that I've been very keen to get my hands on for some time. Antec have absolutely been on fire as of late, and they've been consistently producing some incredible cases, coolers and even handheld PCs like the Core HS that we've recently reviewed. They used to be well known for producing relatively cheap but also quite solid cases, fans and more, but were never really anything more than that. However, they now hang with the big boys in the industry and are easily slotting themselves into the top slots in a lot of categories, and it's pretty awesome to see. The model we have here is the C5 ARGB in white. It does come in black too, so if white's not really your thing, then you can go for the traditional black aesthetic. I chose this one specifically to be my workshop system case, meaning that this case will house the components I need to test hardware such as storage, RAM, coolers, motherboards, power supplies, graphics cards, fans and much more. Not only does this give me a constant factor for testing, but it also looks pretty damn good when doing it. The C in the title stands for Constellation, which is the series of the cases in this range. There are lots of different ones available, from the slimmer C3 all the way up to the stunning C8, and there are lots of different variants available with white, black, aluminium, wood, curved glass, zero RGB or ARGB. So there's loads of options to choose from, and I'm hoping to get my hands on plenty more so that I can take a deep look at those and show you just how they look in reality. The C5, however, that we have here is, in my personal opinion, probably the best all-rounder of the series. It has a large footprint, full glass edge-to-edge panels, lots of compatibility, including support for back connect motherboards, ARGB included, and an excellent price point to boot. You can pick one of these up for roughly £90 to £120. Yes, there are cheaper cases on the market, but not many at this point look quite as nice as this. Plus, for that price, you also get not one, not two, not three, not four, but 7 ARGB fans, all of which you see here are included for the price point. What's more is that not only do the fans look absolutely fantastic when lit up, as you can see here, they are all controlled by an included RGB controller so that you can set them to the exact colour schemes and aesthetics that you do so wish. Even better is that Antec have really thought long and hard about the airflow of this case. Traditionally, glass cases are pretty limited when it comes to airflow, thanks to the front and side panels being completely blocked off by the glass panels. And this one is no different. However, Antec have included reverse flow fans. So we have 3 reverse flow fans on the bottom and 3 reverse flow fans on the side, with a traditional flow fan at the rear of the case. And when I tell you that it pushes a significant amount of air, it really is a very windy case, and that's perfect to see. What this means is that the C5 is already equipped to increase the efficiency of the airflow in the case. Those reverse flow fans allow the cool air to be drawn in through the bottom and the side of the case, and then the warm air can then be exhausted through the rear and also the top to combat the limitations usually experienced with a glass case like this. Naturally, the airflow isn't going to be quite as good as a traditional case with a full mesh front panel, even with the excessive amount of fan mounting options that we see here. But this definitely does a step in the right direction trying to solve such an issue. This might beg the question as to why I'm going to be using this for my test bench case for reviews, but I feel this is going to be more fitting with the kind of case that more people are inclined to buy nowadays with lots of glass all over. So I'm trying to do it more on a real life sort of experience. So let's dive over a bit more of the specifications of the Antec C5 itself. The C5 is a full ATX case with support for ATX, Micro ATX and ITX, with a large rear motherboard tray cutout for access for cooling fixtures and airflow. There's also support for the next gen back connect motherboards with cutouts here that you can see at the back of the mother drawer tray. Currently there are only a small handful of compatible boards for the back connect feature, but I've got no doubt in saying that we're going to see a lot of them coming in the very near future. The C5 is a dual chamber case too, meaning that behind the motherboard tray is an extended amount of space. The motherboard tray has effectively been brought forward, as you can see here, to allow plenty of space for mounting the PSU behind the motherboard tray, with lots of space for cables to fit underneath it, which can then be further hidden by this removable hard drive mounting plate. Underneath that is the ARGB controller that we discussed earlier. Whilst the chamber is great for cable management and making the case look nice and tidy, or at least it's good at hiding the cables that you are inevitably going to shove in there and hide out of sight. It is a bit strange having the PSU directly behind the motherboard cutout. This means that if you're going to need access to the rear of the motherboard for either the back connect boards or the cooler, then you're going to have to remove the entire PSU to get access to it. It's not a complete deal breaker, but it's certainly a rather unusual decision. But moving on from that, it definitely does result in an overall cleaner aesthetic for your build, with everything concealed behind this. There's a huge amount of support for fans and radiators too. Starting with the fans, there's space for 3 120mm fans at the bottom, which we already see here. There's no 140mm fan support here though. On the side, there is space for 3 120mm fans or 2 140mm fans. At the top, there's space for 3 120mm or 2 140mm fans, and then at the rear, a single 120 only option. When it comes to radiators, you can get up to a 360mm on the bottom, up to a 360 or a 280 at the side, equally a 360 or a 280 at the top, and then finally at the rear you can get a 120mm radiator, although 120mm radiators are a little bit pointless nowadays. Storage compatibility isn't too exhaustive on the C5, with space for two 2.5-inch drives on the removable hard drive cage that you see here. You can mount a larger 3.5-inch hard drive on the inside too, and if you really need more space for additional drives, you can remove the end fan at the bottom and the side panel to add an additional 2.5 and 3.5-inch drives. A bit of an unorthodox mounting method on the front, but an option nonetheless, and to be fair with a C5, I'm being a little bit harsh, as most people will take advantage of onboard NVMe drives now anyway. There's plenty of space inside too, even with that dual chamber design, with a CPU cooler maximum height of 160mm. A very generous maximum 410mm graphics card length, so even a gigantic 4090 cards will fit in nicely with even a little bit of space to spare. That recessed side panel mount means that you can even get a thick boy radiator in there without impeding into the space of a graphics card. There's ventilation too all over the case, with a large ventilation panel at the top and bottom, both of them equipped with magnetic dust filters that can be removed quickly for maintenance. On the side is 2 large strips of ventilation for maximum airflow, and then the usual sort of ventilation that can be found at the rear panel. On the top of the case you get the I/O panel, with a large power button, an LED control button for changing the RGB colours and modes quickly, 2 USB 3.0 5GB ports, HD audio and mic ports, and finally a very welcome USB Type-C 3.2 Gen 2 port capable of up to 20 gigabit transfer speeds. Aesthetically, it is a stunning case. The front and side glass panels blend together beautifully at the seams thanks to a 45-degree bevel in the glass. The glass panels can be removed quickly and easily too by pushing it into place, and then the front piece has a unique RGB strip in it too that blends in with a slightly tapered design that we see at the top and bottom, giving it quite a unique but modern look. It looks great in white too, especially with those white ARGB fans included, and pretty much any system that you put in this is going to look phenomenal, and it's going to also look super clean with that extended amount of cable management options. Despite its large working area inside, it still maintains that relatively compact look to the entire case, thanks to the PSU compartment being behind the motherboard tray rather than a conventional shroud placed at the bottom of the case. The entire unit comes in at 400mm in height, 469mm in depth, and just 285mm in width. This should help it fit right onto any desk space and look fantastic. There are a few things I would personally change on the C5 myself, such as moving the PSU mounting point a little bit lower in the rear and having the hard drive cage higher up for easier access to the rear of the motherboard. If you're using a smaller board, you're also going to be left with some rather large open spaces at the bottom here, at the bottom with the grommets. I could be critical and say it would be nice to see some covers that simply could pop in. I guess it's something that could be relatively easy to 3D print if it really is something that absolutely does bother you. Other than those, I think the C5 is probably one of the best value cases on the market to date, with fantastic visual designs, stunning aesthetics, lots of customization, and those 7 ARGB fans included for the price point. It makes it a very difficult case to overlook. They do come in black too, as I mentioned earlier, so if you don't want the white version, you can go for that. They also have some bigger variants in the series to check out too. Yes, you can get some much cheaper cases on the market, but it's rare that you're going to find a case that looks as nice as this, with everything that you get and a fantastic workspace within. So it's definitely something I think you should shortlist if you are in the market for a new case. I will be doing an all-white build in this very case that will be released next week too on the channel. So if you want to see just how easy it is to build in and how good it can look, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on that. Whilst you're down there clicking that wondrous subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button too. And as always, if you are in the market for one of these, then I will leave a link in the description down below. And that pretty much sums it up for me, and the Antec C5 is clearly a fantastic case to work with, and once again another fantastic testament to Antec's step in the right direction within the market. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've been Gadget Joe, this has been the Antec C5, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.